Good morning, Dylan. We very
Hey,
much appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. When I was thinking about starting this podcast, my main theme was the American dream and who I can interview that exemplifies exactly that. Let me introduce the founders, or the founder, one of
yeah.
the founders of GOAT USA, Dylan McLaughlin.
All right,
Thank
what's
you
up?
so much. I've read as much as I could on the internet about how GOAT started. It's nothing short of amazing. So many kids could only dream to be in your position. Can you tell the audience the story of how the idea of GOAT USA started?
Yeah, sure thing. So I went to college with my buddies Rich and TJ, and I graduated college. It was Suny Cortland in 2015. During college, I recognized there was a lot of clothing brands represented by an animal logo. I'll get to that in a second. Ultimately, though, the expression GOAT, meaning greatest of all time, was so popular and it got increasingly popular in college. And because it was greatest of all time, it was obviously or often referenced by athletes or referencing athletes. So at that time, Serena Williams was really on top of her game, Tom Brady, LeBron James. And when in 2013, Michael Jordan turned 50. I remember that being an indication of like, wow, the expression was so huge and the term GOAT, GOAT, GOAT was all over the place. And it became a colloquial expression, meaning it transcended sports and then it began to come into everyday life like, oh, you gave me a ride to the airport? Thanks, you the GOAT.
Yeah.
Oh, you got 100 on your test? Congrats, bro, you the GOAT. So I heard that expression every single day. And I was like, okay, I think if we capture that GOAT energy in a logo, we'll be able to sell some t-shirts and potentially a brand beyond that. And I'd spoken with Rich and TJ and a few of my college buddies about it. And when, we finished up college, we're like, all right, let's give this a shot and let's go for it. So Rich, TJ, and I incorporated just a year after we graduated May 2015. By June 2016, we were
Yeah.
incorporated. So in that year, we were developing the logo and like trying to figure out what our next steps are while we were working, just kind of like assorted random jobs.
Yeah. So like where did you start this first idea? Like where did you start selling your stuff?
So we're from Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
Me and Rich are from Carl Place, New York, and then TJ's from East Williston. After college in that time, TJ moved out to California to pursue screenwriting and acting. And he has some pretty talented movie scripts, but ultimately me, Rich, and TJ wanted to begin GOAT USA. And
Hmm.
at home on Long Island, uh, I tried to look up like how to make t-shirts, and eventually I got the t-shirts. I,
Yep.
I had experience doing it. And we started with just t-shirts. And I thought, oh, let's try out a local lacrosse tournament because hey, the lacrosse community is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, they understand the sporty term GOAT. Um, I think they're going to like our logo and I think they'll really understand the energy we're putting out. So we thought, all right, there's foot traffic. Me, Rich, and TJ are not just like people that begin a brand online. We're not tech savvy. We don't
Yeah.
know at the time Facebook, Meta, Instagram. Like we're not going to advertise that way because we don't know how to do that. We know how to speak
Hmm.
to people. So we started it at Long Island. Our first few days were just using our parents' living rooms, like
Yeah.
organizing the shirt stuff. But after we got going, after a few weeks, we moved into Richie's grandfather's basement in Floral Park, and that's where our first headquarters was. It was just a basement.
Yeah.
It had an outside entrance. It had a bathroom, and it was 15 or 20 minutes from our parents' house. So it felt like we were going to work. We were going to work, but it was like
Yeah.
a legitimate commute. So it wasn't just like working, out of my parents' living room anymore. We were going to a destination. And that's what we did for the first year. So it was in Floral Park, New York, where we got our footing and started to work every day um, with a routine and kind of not that there were set hours like a real like corporate thing, but yeah, we went there every day
Yeah.
and we started to, establish the business.
Okay. You guys are obviously close friends, right? And
Yeah.
running a business together. Do you guys argue sometimes?
Yeah, I think argue is maybe a little exaggerative. I don't
Yeah.
know if exaggerative is a word, but I don't think we argue. We, I guess, maybe bicker, and it's not like an argument. I think argument's a little harsh to call it an argument. We have differences of philosophy, we have different approaches, and we get frustrated with each other sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that's just like whether it be your friends or not friends. I mean, that's just the nature of business, and that's different. That's the nature of relationships with other people that you're friends with. And we're able to just communicate really well through the disagreements because we just kind of present, hey, this is the way I see it. And you have to be very honest and communicate well, be honest, and also, be kind as you can about it. Because ultimately, we have the same vision and goal in mind. So, if Cameron, if you think
Yeah.
differently, I know, if you're my business partner, Cameron, I know you want what I want. We're just
Yeah.
seeing things differently. So remember that when we're disagreeing and be like, all right, well, let's be kind, be respectful, but then also, you know, this is why I think what I'm thinking. You have to be clear about
Yeah.
what you think, So that's the way we've worked through it because yeah, we're friends, but disagreements and seeing things differently happen not every day, but frequently.
Yeah, that's how you create a good business.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that it would be such a successful multi-million dollar business?
Um, I think so. I think it was like a dream when we started it, like, oh, GOAT, we're gonna have this great brand. It was a dream, but it wasn't exactly so clear what it would look like. We just started
Yeah.
working every day, knowing I think there's gonna be a great success and that it will be this. So I think when we started and then immediately we were selling shirts and people were they were understanding the concept, which was great. So it's like, okay, our message is well received and people understand the concept. So that definitely put some wind behind our sails and we felt great about what we were doing. And we just kind of worked on it every day with this big vision of having this outstanding, great brand in mind and just working towards it. I think I would say, yeah, I believed we would be a really strong business every step of the way. I always had that belief. It's just like when the vision, it's not like such a crystal clear vision. Like, what is it going to look like? What is it going to
Yeah.
look like in 10 years? I don't know exactly. I have like a feeling of how I want it to look, but it's hard to say like exactly what it's going to be. But yeah, I always believed we're going to be a healthy, strong business.
Yeah. Do you feel like you three are living the American dream?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think like, you kind of in the introduction, you were describing how you love the American dream and that,
Yeah.
the three of us are blessed that we're living the American dream. And I definitely feel that way. Like, I didn't have experience in apparel or t-shirts. Rich and TJ didn't either. And we just started doing it. And we went to public places where there's other vendors and the other vendors were selling bracelets and
Yeah.
beverages and everything else. And there was this just green grass, and the people were in between sporting events and in between concert, whatever it was. There was just literally they call like the American dream. It was a free market economy. It was just like green grass, and the
Yeah.
people who buy apparel or beverages or food or anything from whoever was selling stuff. And we have the opportunity to compete with the other people side by side in like the other stores. And like the American dream is like, hey, we have an opportunity to make a connection with these people. Everyone has the same fair opportunity. They could walk up to anyone they want. And through just good, meaningful connection with people with a great brand message, a lot of
Hmm.
people selected us and continued to, spread the word of mouth. So I think that, yeah, it's the American dream because we've had an opportunity and it was a lot of hard work. So we put in the hard work and we were able to connect with people. So I think for multiple reasons, yeah, I would say we are as much
Yeah.
of the American dream as anything else.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to know this, and I also really want to know this. How cool was it to open up a store in the biggest mall on Long Island?
Yeah, so cool. Such a pinnacle moment. And I think like I believe that There was never one huge moment that changed our lives. Like the brand's
Yeah.
been a steady, gradual build, right? So there was never like, oh my goodness, the most famous person in the world is wearing Goat USA and our lives are never the same. That was never the point. But when we opened up the Roosevelt Field Mall location, it was a step towards like, oh my goodness, this is outstanding. There's a lot of pride to be had in that. Whereas I do a good bit of reflecting with a lot of pride, but also I don't stand too much in the reflection because I like to look forward and I'm always looking for what's next and improving the brand because there's plenty of improvements to be had. So there's a balance between opening a store and taking in that moment and be like, oh my goodness, like we used to be in a basement, and it was just us three, and
Yeah.
now we have, a very healthy brand with a flagship store in Roosevelt Field Mall. That was like a moment to be like, you know what, stop and reflect, soak this in. After that, after the beat, all right, go forward and let's improve the business and continue to grow.
Yeah. So, Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods has been renowned in the United States for a long time. What was it like on the day that you guys saw that your clothing brand was in Dick's Sporting Goods, and how did you get it into Dick's Sporting Goods?
Word of mouth had spread around the country about Goat USA, so we'd done a
Hmm.
really good job building our brand, and there was a demand for Goat USA, definitely in the Northeast, but throughout the country because Goat USA had been traveling and has been traveling and consistently on the road, with boots on the ground, giving an in-person experience to people. So, we're connecting with people in not every city in America, but all around the country, connecting with people, bringing Goat USA energy and pop-up shops. And I believe that customers were going to managers at Dick's Sporting Goods around the country and just asking if they carried Goat USA. So then Dick's Sporting Goods contacted us, interested in carrying our line. And Cameron, to your point, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a a huge moment for us, and we continue to have a healthy relationship with them, and it's outstanding.
Yeah. So there's only a few brands of clothes that don't become three sizes too small after the third wash.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only other one that I can think of is Lululemon. What are your plans in the future to growing the business?
Um, a lot of growing the business is identifying what we're good at now and improving on that and making logical next steps. So, we have more stores opening.
Yeah.
We have a grand opening coming up March 1st, and that's at Menlo Park in New Jersey. So that store
Oh,
is
that's good.
currently open. We're having a grand opening. Um, the Westchester in White Plains, New York, is a new store that also just opened. So we're
Yeah.
expanding our retail footprint. We're continuing to have fun building our clothing line and improving the clothing line and having it more accessible to more people. And in addition to that, just continuing to create content and
Yeah.
building our marketing. So we're very proud of what we put out and what we publish.
Yeah.
But there's improvements to be made on every pillar of the brand, whether it be, accounting or something more fun like sales and marketing. There's always improvements to be made. So it's identifying what we're doing well and where we can improve and improving on both things, what we're doing well and areas of the business that need more attention. It's a balance, but that's the next steps for us.
Hmm. So I just want to know, like, would you ever have plans of like expanding Goat out of United States?
Yeah, I think yes. There's plenty more to do in the United States, but I think in
Mhm.
time yeah, I think the concept is proven to be well received. And Goat USA, there's plenty more of United States, and there's plenty more
Yeah.
people to become familiar with us and really become, you know, really invested in what we're doing. And we want to connect with those people as well. So there's plenty more to do here in the United States, but there's no reason afterwards that we can't connect with people and empower them to be the greatest version of themselves
Hmm.
when we go to the international market. It's just not on the short-term planning, but
Yeah.
potentially in intermediate and long-term planning. Yeah, Goat USA should be not limited to the United States borders.
Yeah. The one great thing about your brand is the different designs every year. Who comes
Yeah,
up with those designs?
we have in the beginning it was me, even though I'm not a professional graphic designer,
Yeah.
I developed some skills in graphic design. That was early on. And through the years we've had a few different graphic designers, but now we have a team of people that have been here a while. They really understand Goat USA and
Hmm.
they're just so talented. It's just so cool to be in meetings with people that are so creative, and not only are they creative, they're talented and they can execute, ideas. So if someone says like, "Hey, can you draw me if you can make a t-shirt with the Goat USA playing basketball and he's dunking,
Yeah.
or Goat USA playing golf and he's relaxing on a beach chair with, the sun shining behind him, and then there's
Yeah.
trees." Like you just kind of describe a picture and you just speak about what the aesthetic and what inspired you to have that thought, and you
Yeah.
speak with some of our creative people at our company and they are just so talented. It's really a pleasure to have them on the team and work with them every day.
Yeah. Okay, so my dad is convinced that you guys have tried to get into the adult market more, that your brand can compete with Lululemon. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think your dad is right. I think we started by just selling adult sizes. So yeah, we are in the adult market for sure. I mean, my network of people and beyond that is I see adults wearing it every day. Um, so I think we can compete with anyone, and that's our plan, is to compete with everyone. So if you make apparel, and it's definitely we're an athletic lifestyle brand, so between lifestyle brands, some of those traditional lifestyle brands you think about, and then when you think of some of the traditional athletic brands, like they're all competition, young and old. Um, yeah, we're competing with them, so we absolutely feel like we can compete with brands like Lululemon, and we absolutely
Yeah.
feel that adults, whether you're an independent adult or you're an adult with, a family, grandchildren, children, or whatever, is yeah, Goat USA is about inspiring people to be the greatest version of themselves. That's not limited
Yeah.
to certain target audience. It's a concept that should be received beyond that.
Yeah. I just another question I want to know, how much stores have you opened in the United States so far?
Well, we had seven, and I think we're at nine.
In what states did you open them?
We just opened. We're looking towards. We're all in the Northeast, so it's New York, New
Yeah.
Jersey, Pennsylvania. We're exploring Connecticut because that's where we're from, the Northeast. So it's a
Yeah.
logical expansion. I think we're gonna have stores. When I say think, we're gonna have stores all over the place. But we're doing it slowly, not slowly, but we're doing it at
Yeah.
a steady pace. And and we also, for the stores we have and our expansion, we also have retail partners. Like you mentioned Dick's Sporting Goods, but we also have
Yeah.
uh, stores not as established as Dick's Sporting Goods carrying our line. So if we're not there, a partner of ours, whether it be Dick's Sporting Goods or another store, does carry Goat USA. So we try to be accessible to people, and we know our audience is in the Northeast, but it's also around the country. So we want to make sure that we're connecting with people all
Mm.
over the place, and we continue to do so.
Okay. Um, Dylan, I just want to know, do you want to know, like, maybe we can do like a vlog, like a day in like a life of being like a person that runs a really big company and see how like your warehouse works and all that? That
Yeah,
would be really cool.
yeah, that absolutely would be cool. There's some processes and procedures and things to clean up, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm working on every day. I guess people would like to see that, huh? I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like my
I
life. So
think so.
yeah, it is my life. So it's what I do every day. So it's hard to
Hmm.
I haven't really captured it much in a vlog setting or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's worth exploring, and I appreciate you thinking that other people are interested in seeing it.
Yeah, a lot of people on like YouTube, they always vlog that stuff, so that's why I'm just asking that.
Yeah,
And it's yeah. And I also really want to see that because I've never really been like really close to like any of that. And I
yeah.
really just want to see it.
Cool. I understand.
Okay. I have one last funny question that I'd like to ask
What you
before we
got?
go.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same one I asked my first guest, and it interests me a lot. Do you believe in UFOs and aliens?
Uh, I think I'm interested in what Rohan Murphy said, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that podcast after. I think I do. I try not to think about it, you know.
Yeah.
I think it exists, and I think they exist, and it's like I try not to, there's nothing I could do about it, or there's nothing I want to do about it. So I'd rather just have connections with like Cameron, you, and
Yeah.
people I love, and my family and my friends, than get stressed about thinking about the implications of, you know, unidentified flying objects and aliens visiting us or what's out there. Like, I, I believe they're out there. I kind of don't think about it that much. I'm just like trying to stay grounded and because it could kind of get scary the deeper you think about it. Or I don't know if it's scary is the word, but I think that is a funny question. What did your first guest say?
Um, he said that he did, and he said that he believed that a lot of like there's definitely stuff out of this planet because he definitely believes that. The thing that I'm wondering is that I want to, if they ever come down to Earth, I want to interview one on my podcast.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be. I'll recommend your podcast then. If I
Yes.
had the opportunity to make that connection, I would.
Okay. This was a great interview, and again, I appreciate taking your time to do this with me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you for thinking of it, and thank you for supporting Goat USA. You're looking smooth. I see you repping,
Yep.
the Freedom long sleeve, and then the hat, the trucker hat. It's great. So
Yeah, I
thank you
wear it
for the
almost
time,
every
Cameron.
day,
And awesome, awesome.
and a
Uh,
lot of kids in my school do too. Lots.
We all do.
yes, yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate it so much, guys.